closing keynote coming up. So Sybil, you and I both met Rakia last year at Dreamforce, right? It was one of the after parties.
Yes, at Computer Futures. Yes, she had an
Right.
exercise where we holding our arms up. I had
No,
one person to the right, one person to the left. Had to hold those arms up. Had some support. She
definitely.
made
Yeah,
it
I remember
happen.
that. My arms are still sore from that. Okay.
Absolutely.
Hopefully we got Rakia is getting ready here, but just wanted to do a quick intro. So Rakia is a founding partner at Cooper and Vine Studio. She's an American software executive, product developer, Salesforce MVP. Again, all these Salesforce MVPs giving back to the community. Also, Women in Technology user group leader, um, partner, developer, and architect, mother, private investor, and philanthropist. She is best known for her work with the Obama administration on their Girls in STEM initiative and her development of a custom artificial intelligence engine for UK enterprise corporations. She continues to develop innovative technology solutions and community initiatives that promote diversity in STEM industries. So please welcome Rakia Finley. All right, let's see, make sure that she can get access. I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing. Nope, there's Rakia. You there?
I
Oh,
am here. Hi.
welcome. Thank you so much. I'm gonna go ahead and stop my video so you can go ahead and get started.
Awesome. Ah, thank you. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for making this a part of your day. I have been listening all morning and such dynamic content, some of my favorite people in the Salesforce ecosystem. So to Leia's point, if there was a green room, this would be the dopest green room ever to exist. And then to have it had been in Oakland, the turn up just would have been on a whole nother level. And I just want you to understand that. So to be able to feel just a fraction of that energy that we know we would have felt if we all were in person, just because of the dynamic individuals that we're a part of today. I feel ultimately fully powerful and capable because of what I got to experience here. I hope you do as well. Thank you to all these bold voices and powerful individuals and amazing leaders. Thank you for being examples in this community, examples in your storyline, and examples in what it is you get to do in this world. I am forever grateful that you exist. All right, so this is your closing keynote. So like after me, someone else gets to win something really cool, and you get to really enjoy the rest of your day feeling impacted as part of your story. And I hope that I get to do that. So we get to talk a little bit about, and I have 15 minutes. I have roughly 15 slides. So I'm gonna try to go fast. I've done some things to assist us. One, you'll see here on my slide is a QR code that you can scan with your phone, and it will take you, this particular code is going to allow you to follow along with me if you get tired of looking at my shared screen. So I want to talk to you about what advocacy really gets to mean nowadays. So we've talked a lot about who we are and what we get to do, and we've heard a lot of fantastic stories today. So what do we get to do with that information? So first, I am Rakia Finley. If you do not know me, you're missing out. But more importantly, if you don't know me, I am someone that's been a part of this Salesforce community since about 2005. I've been a Salesforce developer and Salesforce admin, and I've been a Salesforce consultant since that time, building really bold and beautiful and dynamic implementations and custom Salesforce platforms, along with some other technologies along the way. I'm a database developer and analyst by heart. I've had some journeys that have allowed me to pick up particular adjectives that describe who I am as a leader, as well as who describe what I give into this world as a skill set. I started simply as a very enthusiastic and proud admin and developer, and leaned in very quickly to become a consultant. I built my first Salesforce implementation at the age of 19, and I built my first custom platform solution for another company as a consultant when I was 19 years old, and that was for Washington Hospital. I was charged with turning their full, complete paper process that was in medical coding into a completely digital platform. And from there, it launched my career to build technologies and solutions for amazing companies that I'm really proud to continue to do. So I'm a consultant at heart. It's where I began, and it has a lot of philosophies. Originally from Portland, Oregon. I'm really proud of that, and I believe in keeping Portland strong during this time. From there, I went on to be a really successful consultant. I built some things on my own, and I got to a point where I said, there's a lot of things that can change here. I wonder if I can change them myself. That led me to really leaning in and being a business owner, removing or walking through or fighting like hell to get past a lot of my imposter syndrome. And that led me to be a proud entrepreneur that I continue to be today, leaning into my just joy of what data is as a data analyst, an innovator. And I began my journey as talking to amazing people like you on the power of technology, innovation, and change. And now here I am. I get to be old and experienced. I like to be a subject matter expert in the concept of technology, product development, and most importantly, the driving force to what those two things get to be is equality. Most powerfully, I run a really fantastic product development firm. We are a digital development agency, and we love to build really bold ideas on top of impeccable database solutions. It allows us to work with some really amazing people and do some really amazing things. And if you are someone that is amazing and you are looking for a partner to build something on behalf of really taking a hold of a market share, or just you have a problem that really needs solving with really innovative technical solutions, scan that QR code, and then you get to learn more about me and our company. There's some other things I get to tell you to do, and then I can get on to telling you what we all get to do. One, I built an app. It's an example of what leadership and advocacy get to look like. I, owning a company that can be a part of systematic change of oppression, get to utilize my skills, my ideas, and my creativity to solve problems. When we first began the journey of talking about the necessity of hard conversations around Black lives, there was a lot of pain points around individuals being able to say, I don't know what step to take. There were a lot of pain points around them even taking that step and admitting that they may have been starting a little further back than they realized. Step forward draws a sense of inclusion where you get to really learn more, be more, challenge yourself, and be really honest around the idea that you get to take equality one step at a time. But we all get to take the steps that we need to build each other forward. So this is an app that was built by our firm. It's available on Android and iOS. You can scan that QR code and it would immediately download it to your phone. Please review, give us feedback. The whole point of this application is not to make anyone money, but to help this entire world take the steps we need to take to build equality. We also built a retreat. It's a thing that you can do. You can come and experience what it really means to be a leader that draws impact, a leader that believes in community, a leader that needs to restore, because the things that you get to do, even beyond building awesome technologies, also look like you having a community of people that are doing it with you. So if you want to know more about our leadership retreat that's hosted by our company, we do it once a year. We are going to Turks and Caicos in March. We have a fantastic COVID contingency plan. Please feel free to learn more about our retreat. And I'd love to see more Salesforce people there. Most importantly, this is what we get to talk about. I thought really long and hard about what this closing keynote got to be about. And I knew that there were already going to be dynamic leaders and pioneers that were already going to touch this digital stage and help us get a beautiful lens on what it means to be a leader that draws impact and change. We also talked a lot today about what it looks like to be an employee and not a token, to be a change maker and not an advocate for oppression, and to be curious about what it is you get to do to create impact in your organization, in your community, and in yourself. What that looks like is what it is you truly are advocating for. The word advocate has meant so much to me over the course of the Black Lives Matter resurgence that has needed to happen in our world. It has meant a lot because though we all may have particular opinions and things that we still get to learn about each other and about the need for removing systematic oppression in our world, we also get to understand what it is that our everyday practices are advocating. And what we are advocating is actually what we are choosing to allow to continue in our world. So I want to draw a different perspective for you as we close out and end this amazing event. I want to pose you with the concept that what you allow is what you are in fact advocating. So that means in the macro level and the micro level. We all on this amazing event have a connection to technology somehow. We understand how the power of one small mobile app, one simplistic database solution, one impactful line of code can shift a conversation, an industry, and a leader in that industry. The same thing happens with your actions, with your choice and lack of action, and with how you lead when you are sitting at the table with a team. So what does that look like? The day-to-day choices towards equality, inclusion, problem solving, and execution defines what we advocate. And what we allow to be our inspiration, our information, and our conversation is the source of what we advocate. So that can look as simple as me saying, yeah, I advocate equality, because when I see inequality, I try to create a solution. I utilize my skills, my creativity, and my community to try to solve the problem that's right in front of me that I feel like I might have an opportunity to solve. So I'm an advocate for innovation around equality. But I also advocate a lack of self-care and life balance. Because in moments of exhaustion or tired, I more than likely may have these bags under my eyes than I would in feeling refreshed and taking a nap and maybe stopping, because I love the power of hard work. But in that action, I know that I'm advocating a conversation that doesn't support the advancement of mental health, that doesn't support the conversation on who we get to be in healthy work environments. And as a business owner and someone who has employees, I might not be advocating for everyone to have the opportunity to live their best lives, even when they work. So I stand here as someone who can advocate for a lot of fantastic things, but with my actions or inactions of everyday choices, I showcase what it is I truly advocate for. Why is this important? Because I get to believe that 3 pillars are important to change. From a technology perspective, every time we make the choice to build something, implement, customize, enhance, or fix, we've made the choice to create change. And if you've seen me speak before, you know that I believe that to create impact, you have to believe in the power of change. So that looks like 3 very important ways of leadership, 3 very important ways of how we work together moving forward, and 3 very important ways on who you get to be when you step up to be a superhero. The first one is collaboration. Second one is innovative foresight. And third is educated execution. Walk with me. We're going to talk about the first one, collaboration. Why is working with a team so important when we start talking about putting action in change? So I have the A to D's. Have you guys realized how long it's been since I've done a keynote and how much I love PowerPoint? If you haven't received this identity from me, I just had to break. And I'm gonna imagine you all laughed. We're gonna keep going. So I've created A, B, C's, and D's to what it looks like for active collaboration. And one is adventure, and have an adventurous desire for your experience. Why the word adventure, Rakia? Why is that so important? Because adventure is the acceptance that we might not know where we're going to end up. We might not know what it's going to take to get there, and we might get surprised along the way. Adventure also means, especially when you go in it with people, you know that at some point, everyone is going to have to execute what it is they know and what skill set they have. You know within that adventure, you're going to need someone to hold the other side of the rope, or maybe make sure the coast is clear. You accept that there's a requirement of collaboration when you say we're going on an adventure together. So when we start talking about solving problems, and this is even in your work and in your community, it looks like getting adventurous with the team that you're choosing to build solutions off of. B is to be a village, but be a village that is taking applications. Be a village that is in deep desire to say we want to grow. Yeah, we were this small yesterday and it felt really great and niche, but we realized with more voices, we get to make more impact and we get to have more understanding. So be really, really dedicated to looking at your community as it stands and asking everyone in it, what can we do to enhance it? Who haven't we invited to the bonfire yet? And how much bigger can we get? And how much impact can we drive? You're going to create empathetic conversations. That is the belief that nothing is an argument. Nothing is the opportunity for you to prove to someone else that you're right. Everything is an explanation, because the conversations that we have, whether they are hard or easy, get to be an adventure, which means my perspective, my insight, and honestly and vulnerably, my bias match with yours. If we decide that we're both explaining our perspective, we have an opportunity to solve problems from a dynamic place of compromise and win-win solutions. But what that looks like is having conversations where you get to be curious. You get to say, tell me more. I don't understand it quite yet. Keep going, right? And you get to listen as a full human. And D is my favorite, because if you haven't heard, I'm a workaholic. It is deliver, try, execute. Failure is not even a part of the conversation. If we identify a problem, if we come together as a team, if we create results together from our mutual experiences, and if we have hard conversations about what a win-win solution really looks like, then we better execute, because we just gave a lot of effort. And most people would pay for all that work. So we get to deliver a result. And sometimes that result looks like starting your idea for the very first time and being okay if it's not quite right. It looks like building an app for equality, not asking or validating if it's what the universe needs. It looks like having hard conversations, whether it's with your employer, your employees, your manager, whether it looks like your spouse or your family member or your uncle. Either way, it looks like adventurous collaboration. It looks like a moment of empathy, and it looks like an opportunity for you to form a higher sense of community. So how can you function in this place of advocating? You always get to be in action. You get to ask yourself some questions that align to those four concepts. First question is, what do I do when I don't know? This is the real honesty of who you are. This allows you to be really valuable and vulnerable with yourself and to take yourself on. Every developer has a default. Every admin has a default of who they turn into when they don't know the answer. We got our Googlers, we got our texters, we got our let me go back and read my noters. We also have our let me ignore that feature really quickers, right? We have the people that don't go in action. If you're me, if you're who I was probably in my first year of development, you're my, let me just not bring it up again and maybe everyone will forget they wanted me to build this thing. Horrible. Don't be that person. And who are you when you don't know? How do you move into action? And really be honest with that answer. And if it's not the answer you would approve of in every reality of moments that you will not know, then you know you're not really taking yourself on. So get really curious and determined to be the person you really want to see when you don't know the answer. What percentage of the problem do I solve on my own before getting support? We got to talk about that village. The village needs to know your resources. They also need to know how they get to be resources to you and support you in the journey of whatever problem you're solving. If you're getting innovative, you're getting bold with your ideas. We're going to talk about what it means to get bold with your ideas. But with that, you get to accept that you need support. So lean on your village and really get honest with yourself about where you stand right now. And I encourage you to answer these questions for yourself while I'm moving through. But really be honest of what percentage do you get to, and is it 100%? You get at full capacity where you don't know whether to go left or right anymore, and you're exhausted and your mind doesn't work, and you've tried all the queries and none of them are working, and you finally ask for support and no answer seems to really source success for you? Or are you that person the moment you don't know, you're out and you're saying, hey, let's come together and find the problem? So figure that out. Sorry for my typo guys. What do I do naturally when I don't feel heard, right? What do I do when I feel like no one sees me? What do I do when I feel like I have no value? What do I turn into, right, when that happens? That allows you to see that where your empathy level lives. And what do I think when the task feels too large? When it's too big, when it's bigger than me? Who do you get to be? Let's figure that out. What does it look like to advocate? Looking like to advocate is looking like being in action. Looking at a problem that feels unworthy of the result that it was given. Looking at a problem and saying more must be able to be done and going immediately into action into doing it. The best advice I've gotten in a very long time is if you make it about you, you're doing it wrong. But if you make it about everything that happens, that gets to happen in this world, if you make it about the end of the story being able to be sweet, then you might be in action of advocacy. The finalization of the ruling around Breonna Taylor is not just a conversation of what happens to Black women on a regular basis. What it is an example of what our society chooses when injustice continues to happen. Even if it happens at different angles, different judiciary boardrooms, different moments of hierarchy. Breonna Taylor is an example of what happens when we allow systematic oppression to be against law, to be against society, to be against voice, to be against community. There's questions that you get to ask yourself around where the Black Lives Matter conversation is. Are you truly in action? Are you truly trying to create change where you can? Or are you simply just watching? Action looks like doing it when you don't know if you're doing it right. Getting very curious about the communities that are, and saying, hi, I'm here. Can you add me to your village? Put me in action. There's another QR code. That QR code allows you to go to a fantastic, beautiful post made by someone other than me that went into action. You can also find the steps that that post will tell you in Step Forward. Please, if you do anything today, scan that code. Find an action that feels in connection to your advocacy and take it unapologetically. And after you do that, do more. Innovative foresight. What we doing this for, we ain't gonna do it for. My favorite saying, if you gonna do it, do it. If you're Leandria Streeter, my co-creator, leader of our Trailblazer user group lead in Washington, D.C. Women in Tech. Shout out to my Washington, D.C. Women in Tech chapter Trailblazers. She knows that as a saying I use a lot, and it always is, if we're going to do it, might as well do it. So shout out to the MVP of my life and of my Salesforce life, my co-leader, Leandria. Anyway, innovative foresight. If no one has told you yet, I am going to give you the absolute power to be bold. I am going to give you full permission for whatever imposter syndrome was living inside of you, and I'm going to tell you to let it go, even if it might be true. That's not what we're worried about right now. Right now, we need big ideas, bold ideas. Ideas that are just driven by the solutions that they get to put into the universe. Whether this looks like bold technology, so the next time you are standing up in that kickoff meeting and they're talking about the things that they want to implement, and you know that there is a better way because you just heard about all the fantastic stuff that Salesforce AI does, then you get to be bold and big with that idea. You get to form your community and create your collaboration, and you get to say, this is how I get to take this company, this agency, this startup, this nonprofit to the absolute mountaintop. So I've given you permission. If they have a problem with it, there is a QR code with my contact information. You're more than welcome to share that with them. So you have permission to hold a big idea. That idea gets to be scary, uncomfortable. It gets to feel different. It gets to be you not knowing what to do with it. It gets to require you to learn. It gets to require you to ask for a mentor. It gets to be a draft that gets bigger and bigger that lives on your iPad. It gets to be a voice recording that you take once a day to expand on your idea. It gets to be that Salesforce dev stand-up that you get for free to play around with, and it gets to just be that. But either way, it gets to be big and bold. It gets to have big plans that get to create change. So you get to have that now, right? So the next time you see me in person, I only get to ask you, what's your big idea? And I look forward to hearing it. What does it mean to have a big idea, and what do you do with that big idea? One, you get to advance beyond your own thoughts. I guarantee you, whatever idea you have, it gets to be bigger. One of my favorite friends, he's in the music industry. He's a jazz artist in Washington, D.C. And he is very, very popular to Grammy level. He's very popular in Germany. He, before the pandemic, traveled all over Germany. I actually built him a small Salesforce platform that connected to a mobile application that was just for him, where he was able to manage his fan base in Germany and all the clubs and performance entities that he had relationships with. So I gave him his own accounting management system because it was just getting a little bit too big for him to manage when he was in the US. He would always say to me, your vision for yourself is probably in a different land with people you're not envisioning, and it's bringing joy to someone you've never imagined. It's the idea that the problem you're solving is necessary. It's required. It was given to you. I even give you the permission to say that it is aligned to your purpose. But whether or not that vision of that problem you get to solve is in your backyard or is in the garage of the house you live in now, isn't up to you. But as long as you make your idea big enough and allow it to always advance beyond what you imprison it to believe, then I guarantee you really fun things get to happen. You get to bring your past wins and lessons with you. So it doesn't mean that failure won't happen or you won't feel it in some type of way. You get to feel it, you get to learn from it, and you get to advance. That's the most beautiful thing about being a part of the Salesforce and tech community. We all know that part, but sometimes it helps us to remember. You get to create. Rebe on the panel talked about when she first started her company, she got it all on paper. She wrote down what she wanted it to look like. And that's a very important thing. Sometimes when we think about all the amazing leaders that even Oakland Dreaming gave us today. We very much so think they have this team, or their creation process was complex or advanced. And that's why it's beautiful to have Rebbie and people like Rebbie that are very honest about their journey, because you get to see that it starts with just you believing in it and getting it on paper and iterating and iterating. You get to do that. And you get to like not fall in love with it. You totally get to date your idea, right? Your idea gets to be the best date you've gone on, right? But you understand, like, you're in a weird place, like they're evolving and transforming on a regular basis. Like, you're not sure if you should like commit your whole reality and beliefs to this like one individual that's only been around for however long you've had this idea. Like, we're not sure. Did we like it? Did we like that analogy? So you really want to be careful with being passionate about the problem you're solving, but not really falling in love with the idea. Now we're going to go to educated execution. Now, I'm going to preface this. You guys know this one. Really shouldn't have to talk about this one. One, so many of the amazing people today really hinted on the power of always being willing to learn more and never getting tired of learning a new skill, learning a new way of being, learning a new level of leadership. So I feel like that's already been talked about. But in case we need a couple of tools around what it looks like to always make sure we are moving responsibly in our goals for executing innovation and creating advocacy. One, it's always being down to learn. I'm someone that has been doing what I've been doing since 2003, and I easily could have said, I'm not learning anything anymore. I don't want to. And probably still would have been fine, but I wouldn't have been fine, because reaching the level of being around, seeing how much can I absorb, how much can I do, what capacity of skill set can I hold, that gets to be my journey, and a really exciting one. And I challenge you to always do the same thing. In every part of your life, be really excited about advancing a new level of yourself. That looks like you doing it with your brain power. It looks like you doing it with your skill power. And I always liken advancing your skill power to the people on Instagram, the ones that make the miniature furniture and the miniature pottery. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I don't know how to tell you how to find it and go down the rabbit hole of finding it on Instagram, but there is a journey that you can take in social media black hole that is a small, watching micro videos of people make miniature versions of pottery on a small spinning wheel. And depending on how deep you go in this dark hole, you'll find some really beautiful and intricate and absolutely gorgeous miniature teapots that have no purpose. And it's a beautiful testament for me. They are my example of what it looks like to be responsible with who you are, your skill set, and what you get to bring into this world. They could have chose to just know how to make miniature pottery. They could have stopped there. They could have evaluated that it probably wasn't going to be a business opportunity or wasn't going to be something that they can advance out of their houses. And then there was the few that made the choice to be experts at miniature pottery. There was the ones that decided that this was their thing. They are advocating that this is a skill and something some people should follow this. And it should be a community of people who love pottery, right? And what does it look like for a village like that to say, we want our village to be bigger? And then all of a sudden, I learned how to do pottery. And now they have the novice pottery maker that only makes pots that say Black Lives Matter. That's my thing, right? But because that community was big and bold, because I was willing to always say, I have this skill, right, that excites me and I want to advance upon it, all those players get to play together and create something really cool, right? Now we have Black Lives Matter teapots that no one can use. And you didn't know you needed that, and now you do. I hope you guys are laughing. All right. So we're always going to accelerate our learning. That's number A, and that's in everything. That's in our body. We are accelerating learning how beautiful our body works. We're getting honest about our health and getting really fantastic about that. Our skill sets are advancing, that brain power. We are taking our vitamins and eating our bananas and our apples. Okay, but we are also doing brain tests. We're taking on hard challenges at work to see what we're capable of. And our heart, we mean that from a spiritual heart and also a physical heart. We're making sure we're staying healthy. Most importantly, our beliefs, right? I've talked a lot, and some of you know that, I've talked a lot about what unconscious bias is, and it's beliefs that we've made the choice not to change. You have an opportunity to really audit what your beliefs are, especially during this time in our world. And it's never been a more cleansing time to do that. So please, if you haven't, make the choice to evolve your beliefs wherever they are, because they can always get better. All right, we're going to speed through this. Believe that awesome things can happen. Like, believe unicorns can fly. Get it? Like, believe unicorns can fly. Think that big around social justice, equality, technology stacks, Salesforce implementations for nonprofits that have made way too many bad data decisions before they hired you. Believe in flying unicorns. I promise you, you'll have a lot more fun. Consider what success could look like. Get in real alignment with what it looks like to win. That's it, right? If you are a proud Women in Tech Keynote attendee, you know what I believe in the power of winning. It makes you a superhero. When you believe that you have the power to actually create change and win, then impossible things can be possible. And then develop the thing. Don't not build the thing. Like, I could say a lot of words, but like, most importantly, do the thing. Like, do it. That thing that you know, like when I said that, you thought of that thing you did not do that thing, like immediately. And then do the other thing that you think of the moment that you finish that thing. Like, just do all the things. Like, say it, do it. You know. This is a quote. It's mine. And on the top is all the QR codes that I had during my presentation, and I hope that was helpful. I'm going to say this in as powerful way, but I'm going to say it word for word intentionally. And I want you to really think about who you've been and what you've advocated for during this time in our world. Over the course of 2020, if you really looked at your actions, if you really look at what you fought on behalf of and what you really turned an action eye away from because the lift was too heavy, I want you to think back on what those could define as your levels of advocacy. And I want to hit you with this charge that you are up. The game has started. You're on the team. We've already wanted you here. We're unsure how we will win, but you've been on the bench for a while, so you might just be the one to take the winning shot. We don't know who gets to lead our world into a complete revolutionary transformation where everybody feels equal, heard, seen, and safe. Who are you in that walk? Because I'm okay with you being the superhero at front line. I'm also okay with you being in the back, making sure that we don't stop walking forward. But whoever you are, it's time for you to get in the game. Unapologetically, aggressively, and boldly. With your skills, with your heart, with your mind, your brain power, with your curiosity, and with your collaboration. I want to thank everybody for what they did, what they stepped into, what they stretched themselves to be as leaders and as advocates to make sure Oaktown Dreamin' took place. When Cynthia first had, or not Cynthia, but when the whole Oaktown Dreamin' team had this idea, they envisioned it in person, dope, in Oakland. I was planning to attend with all bells and all the whistles. And they required to stretch themselves and said, what were we trying to produce? Let's produce it this way, and let's get really lean and focused on the problem we're solving. We're reconnecting the Oakland tech community to create change, equity, and equality. So thank you to everything you've done, and thank you to the sponsors that also supported in this effort. This was my first virtual keynote, guys. So you gotta let me know how I did. So scan that last QR code, give me some feedback. Thank you. I love you all. You know I do, and stay safe.
All right. Thank you, Rakia. Wonderful, wonderful. Yes, definitely get that big, bold idea out there and take action against it. Yes.
So grateful for your presentation. That was awesome. The impact power of change was very impactful.
All right.
I didn't look at the Q&A. Was there Q&A? Did you guys want me to do Q&A?
I'm sure if we have, I didn't see any questions. If we have any questions out there, we probably have time for maybe 1 or 2 questions. But I think, yeah, I think the big thing is just like really what you're talking about in terms of like combining your heart and your skills and your brain and your body and your everything together. I think that was really great. And I think the QR codes were really innovative and very helpful too for everyone to get that information right away while in real time. So.
And that power of winning you talked about, and make sure if you're thinking it, make sure you go ahead and do the other thing. I love that.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Well, I do want to answer David's question.
Yes.
In the Q&A. And his question was, as a white male, what can I do to better promote inclusivity without people feeling like I'm pandering to a cause? So one, David, I would challenge you to get really in intention with what problem you're really trying to solve when you think about the full spectrum of what inclusivity is happening. Where are you seeing it the most, right? Where are you identifying it the most? What is the problem that you think needs to be solved, right? And I think what allies get to do right now, and just white individuals right now, when we talk about the Black Lives Matter movement, is one, you get to be very vulnerable around the idea of I'm just here. So also sometimes it looks like I'm just here, guys. Here are my skill sets. Here's what I have to offer, right? Here's what I am totally down with changing and being bold on. I'm here, let me know, right? So sometimes it looks like that. Other times it looks like you calling out the injustice as you see it. Because if you see it, you've probably been around it for a long time. There's a community wrapped around it, and it's probably your community. So you get to take advantage of what it gets to be from a personal micro level. And that macro level looks like saying, hey, here's my LinkedIn. Right.
And we also have another question. So where did the name Copper and Vine come from?
Copper and Vine. Yes, it's my favorite. Out of all the namings of companies, it's my favorite. Copper and Vine is one, a very nerdy fact that it's one of the very, very first 2 elements that were attempted to put together to cause conduction. It did not work, but the concept of vine or foliage wrapped around copper did create a spark. That spark created what more could we do, and eventually we ended up getting electricity. So copper and vine is what it looks like when you try. And it's our remembering that majority of the clients that come to us are trying to solve a problem. They haven't really figured out what the solution is. And we get to go to the lab and be scientists and creators and get really lean on what that problem is. And we get to start with copper and vine and move on and make the electricity.
Very cool. I like that. All right. I think we got time for one last question. Let's see if there's anything else from anyone out in the attendees. Well, here's one from earlier. So you talked about imposter syndrome a little too as well. So what do you do to overcome those insecurities and doubts? What can you do? What can someone do?
So I call it negative self-talk. And my first step is, I think to most problems, first step is acknowledging it. So for me, it looks like, guys, I got a lot of negative self-talk going on today. Please forgive it, right? So that's first. So when I have imposter syndrome, my first step is acknowledging it and getting really honest around it. I remember at the top of this year, our marketing team and our design team started using Canva, and I hated it. I was so mad. I was like, we're more experienced than this. We are advanced designers. There's no reason we should be using Canva. And I had to stop and say, you know what, guys, I'm having a lot of imposters. I'm having a lot of negative self-talk around the fact if we're skilled enough, and I'm scared that this one application it's just triggering that fear. It's triggering that moment of imposter syndrome. So excuse it, please forgive it. What success looks like for this Canva application is that we use it to this ability, and it does this and it doesn't hinder that. So really getting really honest around like, where is the triggering of the imposter syndrome? It doesn't mean it's going to go away. You just get to push past it, and sometimes even laugh at it, right? It's like, oh, I'm having a lot of imposter syndrome over the fact that I should make more money. That's silly when I say it out loud. So I'm just going to keep saying it out loud because it's silly. So now I'm going to go into this job interview and I'm going to ask for the money I deserve. That's going to sound silly then, but that's going to be okay. We're going to keep going. So getting through imposter syndrome literally looks like just getting through it.
Wow, that's incredible. Well, thank you, Rakia. Really appreciate it. And I thank everyone for staying till the end. We got one more final drawing. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much. All right. Take care.